Alright, welcome everyone. This is Azuro, the Wannabe hero for Anime in August, episode 21, Bleach. Obviously, we're still playing J-Stars because, you know, I don't have the old PlayStation 3 game of Resurrection, and I can't really showcase the legal game that's available on mobile. I guess I could, but we are going to talk about Bleach, which just ended last week. And, well, was it an ending? Just to let you know, if you have never read Bleach before, Bleach is about, my main character, number one, is Ichigo Kurosaki. He is a guy who can see souls. He can see spirits in the real world, and it kind of freaks him out a little. Like I guess it freaked him out when he was younger, but it doesn't matter anymore. It's just like, whatever. He has a sister, or like two sisters, Karin and Yuzu, and he works at his dad's clinic, where he's a doctor. And as my character I have, Rukia, as my extra character, his family comes under attack. People who have high spiritual awareness, they are sought after by hollows, which are like enemies that have passed over, who like can't accept death, and they just want to come back for vengeance and all that jazz. So we'll talk about Rurouni Kenshin, because recently they just announced the live-action version of the series, and it's going to be dubbed, which is awesomely for Kenshin. It's going to be voiced by Micah Solasad, which I actually got to visit at Anime Fest. Really chill looking dude. He's actually seems really cool. But anyway, to go back to Bleach, so Ichigo's family is under attack. He has to rescue his sisters, and then Rukia comes in and tries to fight the Hollow, but she's not that strong, so she just gets her butt handed to her. But then Ichigo picks up the sword and starts trying to fight, and she's just surprised that a human can, fight on par, it looks like, with this Hollow. So he goes and he fights, and he has to be stabbed or pierced with the sword. This is the Zanpakuto, and that's how we begin. He becomes a Soul Reaper, and it's about his story. So the ending, let's all face it, was lackluster. If you haven't read the ending, spoilers. It was really lackluster. I'd say go ahead and take a look at it. And, so this is super spoilers. Be prepared. It actually has a little bit of Aizen in it. So the story of Ichigo is he tries to become, tries to get stronger. Rukia has a brother, Byakuya, who is a captain, and he does not like Ichigo at all, or what he stands for, and so he fights Ichigo and basically gets rid of his abilities to use Zanpakuto. As a Soul Reaper, he loses all of his. I think I made him a little bit easier. No, I'm getting hit by Suna. Fight. But so Ichigo is out to use his powers with the help of Urahara doing his special training. Urahara is the one who gave Rukia after he lost her powers from being tested with Ichigo. Gives the Hikai body, which is a modified soul. With that, she's able to kind of help him and all about what it is to be a Soul Reaper. Of course, she doesn't know anything about it. Trying to figure out what it means to be a Soul Reaper. Then eventually starts learning. Oh, it's all Bleach. Who gets to? So this happens when he's fighting Ivan, which is funny. He has to sacrifice his ability to become a soldier. Has to down Ivan that way. He's down. Oh, Aizen was But so Ichigo with the has a couple friends who, because they are around Ichigo, they actually start to develop hollow like powers. You have Chad, who is from Mexico. He's like the gentle giant of the group. He eventually has a power with his like a big fist that he can use. But it's a oh geez. It's a tough battle for Ichigo because Ichigo was all about he had a lot of ups and downs with the series, as we all know. Overly critical of a lot of stuff, like he saved Rukia, learned Bankai. Honestly, I think we all can agree probably the best. Just like the Bleach series. So I didn't change it to a lower difficulty. So let's just talk about it. So Ichigo, that's about his journey. He has his friends Orihime, Chad, Uryu, Ashita, and it's about him just becoming a Soul Reaper, losing his powers, wanting to get it back to help. Finds out that the person who killed his mom was a hollow. He eventually doesn't get revenge. It's actually Ichigo's dad, who is a Soul Reaper in disguise. He lost his power long time ago. So with that, Ichigo goes to save Rukia because her brother took him away. He eventually starts fighting a bunch of people into Soul Society, which is probably the best arc because everyone thinks that Ichigo like killed Aizen, who was like a very popular captain at the time. He was like strung up to the wall. You find out later on in the series that he was faking it. It was a fake body. His Koyaku Suigetsu, I believe is what it is has hypnosis. So everyone was pretty much under his hypnosis and thought that was Aizen's body, but it was a fake. Aizen was accompanied by Gin Ichimaru and I believe it's Tosen, the blind guy. And they're his posse pretty much. So Ichigo goes and rescues Rukia because she's about to be executed for transferring hollow powers. Along the way, Ichigo has to fight Kenpachi, who's like the strongest like Soul Reaper, but he doesn't know his own Zanpakuto's name. He has to fight Byakuya Kuchiki, Rukia's brother. Has to fight just numerous people to get through it. Eventually, at the end, Aizen shows his true colors. He gets taken by the big dudes, the Menos, I believe is what they're called. He gets sucked up into their power vortex, and they're pretty much protected. No one at the time could destroy the barrier surrounding Aizen and them, and they go to a place called Waco Mundo. And that's the next journey of the series, where they go and fight. Orihime gets captured. They get the Hokiaku from Rukia. And then they meet some friends along the way down. Then we meet Nell, who was a little girl, but she was actually number 4 Espada until she got betrayed by Norita. I believe that was his name. The dude with the praying mantis. So they go through all that. Ichigo at the time is starting to lose control because he has his dark side in himself. His hollow powers emerge itself into people call it the Demon Knight form. He has horns, and he can actually use hollow powers. He defeats Okiura, who is protecting Orihime, and all that, and eventually goes to the end where Ichigo has to fight Aizen. Aizen has to go and, he absorbs the Hokiaku, thinks he's a big bad boss. Ichigo uses the final technique, which is he basically absorbs the power of his Zanpakuto and merges with it. So that's why he turns into I did the special move where he turns into the longer black hair, the wraps around him. So he defeats Aizen, but he loses his powers. He's upset because he wants to still fight. Eventually, he gets brought into a group of Fullbringers, which are people who are humans who have developed hollow power and traits. Befriends a guy. He brings him to his club. Finds out that club is he was faking it. The one guy has this Book of the End where he can alter memories and stuff, because he altered that Karin and Yuzu had an older brother, Shukushima, and he was actually a bad guy and stabbed the one friend and said, "Hey, here goes your memories back." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I had to really pretend I was your friend." So the Fullbringers, he defeats them, and then it goes into the final arc, which is about you meet a guy named Yuha, who is he's the father Quincy, and you find out that all this time, old man Zangetsu, who is pretty much Ichigo's the Zanpakuto, is actually a younger version of Yuha, and that's manifested as Ichigo is pretty much the dominant, prominent golden boy, because his mom, you find out, Misaki, was a Quincy. So flowing through Ichigo's blood was a Quincy, a Shinigami. He had to get his hollow powers, which kind of combined with the Shinigami. And so he pretty much, and then he had his Fullbring. So he pretty much was a combination of everything in the series. With that, there's a bunch of battles throughout. At the end of the battle, he's, unfortunately, Tite Kubo had found out that he was going to end Bleach. And then, so he had to hurry up and make a convoluted story of what happened. Yuha had this almighty power. He could, have so many different power-ups. He absorbed all of his old lieutenants. All the Stern Ritter is what they were called. They had letters A through Z. He absorbed their powers, the ones who were alive and those who weren't. And so he got defeated by, as they call it, a MacGuffin, where there's this silver arrow tip that was created by Uryu's dad. And so Uryu fired it at the right moment, where Ichigo thought he was going to get his Bankai destroyed because he had a new Bankai. He had to reforge his blade because he had 2 blades, but this time it changed from his new form to his old big giant meat cleaver looking Zanpakuto. Cut Yuhan in half, and then we get a time skip, and there's there's remnants of a power up, Yuha's power's coming back. But then all of a sudden, this final chapter that came out last week, so it finally answers a few questions, but leave us still scratching our heads. We find out that what happened with the whole last remnants of Yuha's power. It seems that Orihime and Ichigo's son is able to just touch the portal and it like dissolves the power. So why he has that ability, we'll never know. But you find out, of course, Orihime and Ichigo are together because this is 10 years in the future. Karin and Yuzu are now adults. You don't see Ichigo's dad, Ishin. He's somewhere. You find out that Chad is like a superstar. I think he's like a fighter. Fighting people, you know, like in a ring, you know, making money. He's the most famous out of the group, or he's an actor. I couldn't really tell. Uryu became became a doctor like his father, which really is surprising because he hated his dad, but he became a doctor in the end. Then it shows that Rukia Kuchiki actually became the captain of the 13th squad, so that was really cool. And you find out that her and Renji actually had a child together, a little girl, and she kind of like drops in on Ichigo and Orihime's kid, and it's like, hey, what are you doing here, punk? You know, I'm a Soul Reaper, like Soul Reaper substitute, and their son just goes, I'm a Soul Reaper too, and that's how it ends. And people are like, that's it? We get confirmation on 2 shippings, which is Orihime and Ichigo, Rukia and Renji. You get, you know, they each have a kid who's about 10 years old, so they probably got busy as soon as the whole thing was defeated. You find out that Aizen, for some reason, went back to his cell to be incarcerated for, a couple hundred years, I believe was his sentence, for all the stuff he did in the Soul Society arc. So yeah, there's a lot of weird shakeups that went around in Bleach. One of the great people, and I suggest you find him if anyone actually watches this video, is a guy named Tekking. I watched his videos. He's been very entertaining. He's about to take like a 2-week break or like a week and a half to prepare the final thing of Bleach, and he's going to go to the series My Hero Academia. But he still do Bleach videos, but definitely watch him. I love his videos. I love his skits talking about Bleach. He's super knowledgeable about it. But overall for Bleach, I was highly disappointed with it. I remember, gosh, it's been years when the anime first came out that I was super into Bleach. I wanted to download the episodes and watch them when it was back in the day, when in order to do fan subs, to finally get the English of it, you found groups of people who subbed it almost immediately after it aired and posted it to download. So I would do that and find it and download it and watch the episodes and just loved every minute of it. As it got later on and I wanted to read the manga to catch up to the anime. After the Soul Society arc, it really kind of went downhill. Yeah, it was great that we had new characters developed. A lot of people had, more people they loved. We found out more backstory about, especially you find out Ishin, what happened with him and his wife Masaki. You find out a little bit of the history between Uryu's father and Ishin on how they know each other. You find out the history about the Quincy's a bit, but a lot of the questions that people had weren't answered. Like, what happened to Yuichiro? Has anyone said anything? Did Kenpachi master his Bankai? Why is Toshiro still a small kid again? Does he have a time limit on his power? What happened to all the old people? What happened to Kayen's sister, Suzaku, I believe what her name was. What happened with her and Ganju? The dude who create pits of sand and stuff. What happened to some of the other vice captains? Especially what happened to old dude with Wabasuki? Who had cyborg guys and missing half of his torso, but was fighting the Sternritter X's little birds, owl birds on the floor. It's we never knew what happened to him. We got confirmation of one death, which was I forget what his name, this sick captain. He died when he had the Mimihagi and all that jazz. But overall, it's a series, and then he had special announcement. Special announcement is a live action movie of Bleach. which honestly was just like the icing on the cake for a lot of people. Like, after so many years of being one of the top 3 shonen in Shonen Jump, because I remember the big series were Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. Now, One Piece is reigning supreme, still going super strong. Naruto is now doing Boruto once a month, which people are kind of about. You have Bleach ending and really answering a few questions but leaving us with more. So it's just highly disappointing. I know a lot of people are upset. Tell me what you thought about the ending of Bleach if you've read it. So yeah, Bleach, still one of the best shonen series that was ever released, but bogged down by poor writing at the end, with not a lot of development. Like a final boss who you made too OP, who absorbed 2 gods and was a god himself. So you're kind of like, how would you beat a boss with nothing but a MacGuffin? Character stories and arcs that never went anywhere, which leaves you just scratching your head. But still, overall, if you want to, I'd say watch until the Fullbring arc. If you obviously the anime ends at the Fullbring, but if you want to read it until the Fullbring arc, because then afterwards it just kind of gets messy. Yeah, there's some cool things, but you can just read about people's new bankais or their new forms or whatever, and just get the information there instead of having to read the slog that it took for like the final few chapters and the MacGuffin ending. But again, that's just my opinions. Comment down below what you think. Again, I'm Rio Azuro, the Wannabe Hero, with episode 21, J-Star's Bleach. I'm only going to visit this one more time. I could do more. I could do Oda and Baby Beal. I could do Suna. But I thought 5 times. You don't want to see it any more than 5 times. Probably only want to see it more than once. But hey, I don't want to buy every game that's out there. I mean, shoot, I want to buy Asterix War, but it's only for the Vita. And I'm like, I can't really show that in a video. But again, join me tomorrow where we check out another fighting game, but it's like anime inspired. So hey, I'm using that to my liberty. It's a fun series that I've played before, but this is the newest entry to the series until they probably release another one sometime next year. But again, Rio Azuro, the Wannabe Hero, talking about Bleach. So join me tomorrow for another episode. Until then, peace out.